Hi guys, welcome to another Grand Chase video, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than the usual stuff we do here in the channel, because recently I've been receiving a lot of Grand Chase related questions in the comments from some of the videos, whether it's just people who are like day one, they don't know how the game works and they need like some little tips here and there to how to get started, or they're just like people who are returning the game but they kind of need like some reminders, you know, of things that you can do and you can do in the game. So to make this a little easier, I would like to answer some of these questions in a video because I feel like this question could also be someone else's question. So if you're one of the few people who actually follow up with the channel, you notice that I've made this post a few days ago where I was leaving this area to let people question whatever questions they had related to Grand Chase. And you will be surprised because we only got one question through this post. And even if I receive like just one question in that post, again, I do receive a lot of questions in the comments here that I already responded before, but I think it would be better if I just made a video about this. Sometimes people will just answer these questions multiple times, so it's easier to just respond to these in a video like this. So before we do start with the questions, I would like to just say if you enjoyed this video idea already and like to see more of Grand Chase in the future, whether a video like these where I just answer people's questions or maybe showcases of the awakenings that I still haven't done it already, you're more than welcome to leave a like, comment, subscribe, because we do Grand Chase content here on a weekly basis. And as a small reminder of our goal on the channel of reaching 1,000 subscribers before May 22nd. Notice the channel has been growing really nicely so far, and I am really thankful for your guys' support. It really means a lot to me, and it makes me really happy just to see the channel growing slowly, even if I stop posting every once in a while. But even then, thank you so much for your guys' support, and let's just jump right in, why don't we? So the first question, as I mentioned here, is by Avindrajit. Jesus Christ, Avindrajit 9452. I apologize if I butcher your name really hard. They ask, can a coordi that has fused not fuse again? I'm pretty sure you mean coordi set. I don't know why I read coordi, but my brain processed Cody from Street Fighter. Funny enough, I don't even know how to answer this question because I'm not a coordi expert by any means. But in the tips, it does say that fused coordi items cannot be used in coordi fusions. So I think once you fuse it once, you cannot like fuse another item again. I suppose we can just figure this out on our own, right? So I guess we can just do the Conan's Acrotables, which is an item that I rarely see people use nowadays. And we can go for, you know what, just because I have such an annoying rage, we're gonna do Harkion Glorious Wings. Let's see here, it's gonna look like this, but it's gonna get the attack plus 40 from the Harkion's Glory Rings. If anything, I can just probably get this back again. It's like not a big deal for me. So we're gonna do fusion. So coordi has things that's actually fused, as you can see right here. The attack is now 40. Coordi fusion with the Conan's Crucibles, so this is right there. And as you can see right here, yeah, I cannot use that exact same item to fuse again. Probably because it makes sense because it's already been fused. But what we do have is a fusion disenchant. I hope I said that right, which is basically just defusing two coordis you've fused before. So as you can see here, I do have this right here. And if I just go over here, it will require some GMP, but it seems like if I just do this, here we go, I recovered the items that I just fused before. And now with those items defused, I can now fuse it with something else again. Which I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know about the fact you could defuse your coordi fusions now, which is something that I think is pretty nice. It makes me honestly a little motivated to fuse these Barakufu set, which I still personally think it's like an absolutely amazing set to have. Maybe I'll do this with my Aslan set, but don't count on it. The next question here we're gonna get is from John the Petite Frog, which is just an amazing name. I'm pretty sure that's from Yu-Gi-Oh! How do you farm this many card chests? Isn't just one per day on the weekends? I already answered this question, you can see by my answer, but I will re-answer this question because I think this is a question that it's worth mentioning. How many times will I say question in this video? So unfortunately, Land of Judgment is not open right now, which sucks because I always like to show the rewards when talking about this matter, so I will be left a little bit in the dark for this one. But normally the amount of scores that people always recommend for Land of Judgment is about like chest number 11 or 12, I think, which is about 175,000 points or 120,000 points, which is also the way I also recommend because it's pretty much just easy and it's not like something that will spend a lot of your time. You could get like maybe about 50 cards or something like this if you just do it for every character. And even if you can't get there, then you can always just go for 70k, which is also an okay score to go for. It's usually the areas where people would recommend you to go for in Land of Judgment. I, however, don't follow that rule, and instead I try to go for the top 3 scores in the level, which is usually 175k, 270k I believe, and then 400k points, which then gives me respectively the chest 21, 22, and 23. Yeah, these 3 specifically. And the reason why is because, as you can see right here, if I just select, oh god, I almost pressed delete them. Which, yes, as you can see here, I do get 1 per character. But the one important thing here is this Land of Judgment chart. When I usually done with Land of Judgment, I usually have like a bunch of these judgment shards, which is probably enough to get the title for Land of Judgment. But what I normally go for these is this here, the Land of Judgment special card chest, which only require 2 of these shards, and you can get like a lot of cards for free. I have 101 of them, and if I just click on max, it's an additional 50 cards that I can get. So whenever I exchange all those shards, it all transforms back into more cards for me to open, which I usually like to do these with people because there's just so many cards that it wouldn't be the same if I just didn't open these by myself. The game just froze, by the way. That's not good. Oh, there you go. And usually these cards, by the way, they go from Harrier to Another World to Archimedia, which is usually just the end game stuff. So like, even if you don't get anything like fantastic, like say Chronos, you probably are able to get something that like will break your leg in some way, like Commander the Dark Staff, which I think is still a good card to go for people who are like in need of cards. Or maybe something like Shadow Apostle, which gives 420 attack for free. Let's just open another 100 just to see what we get here. If the game freezes, oh my god, the game froze again. Oh my god, that's a lot of gold cards. And none of them are Gaian. It's sad. This is what I have to go through every day. It's just more sadness. And it sucks because I normally would be happy for a Chronos card, but I don't need him anymore. He's just dead weight for me. That is how I always get that many cards from Land of Judgment. I don't just play with 1 character and I get 1 card out of it. I usually play with all characters except Ronan, and then I exchange all the shards that I get in the shop to then get more cards out of it. I could be getting between 200 cards if I normally play on Friday, but Fridays unfortunately is a little bit of a tough time for me, so yeah, I don't have time to play Land of Judgment, but people can get up to 200 cards if they do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's not something I personally recommend because for me, it usually take like 2 hours of my day just to get all of that done. But I suppose for people who want to get cards faster, or maybe just for collection's sake. So far, I still haven't got cards like Astaroth or the Carnegie, but I already got some Gaians before and a couple of Guardian of Times. Hanox as well, something that I usually get. Serenitones, which are like some of the best cards in the game you can get, are in there as well, and they are possible to get, but their chances are like extremely low. But you can always get it if you're like really lucky. So yeah, the point is that's why I always get this many cards when playing Land of Judgment, is because I usually use the shards to get more cards. Next one is from Vinicius Pato, and this one was from my video about how to actually deal with Dullahan. I'm new to the game, and so far I have 13 level 85, and my current chaser level is 71. This video was very helpful, and the one thing that gets me the most is the dragon rooms in Sanctum of Destruction. Every time they send me off the map, I don't know if there are any visual cues, but having to kill 2 dragons for 13 characters every day is guaranteed that at least one time they got me. Yes, the dragons do have a queue, but it needs to be like one of those think fast moments that you need to be prepared for. Just for reference's sake, I guess I'll have to play with Zero, because if I play with my Ellis's, it will be like an instant one-shot. So I suppose it usually happens whenever you're close to them. There you go. So funny enough, Zero was not affected by that at all. I didn't mean to do that. So usually it happens whenever they usually roar, like that one. And that roar can usually lead to 3 things. One is the jump. The other one is the attack that I like to call the bite attack, which it kind of gives you stun for a second. That one specifically. Or it leads to the push, which is the attack I personally also don't like either, because it was designed by somebody who had a horrible sense of humor. But basically, it's that noise that you need to be prepared for. Whenever they do that, just cast a skill and hopefully you take them out, or just avoid that altogether. The longer the skill, the better it is to just avoid that attack altogether. Ow, my feet. I'm pretty sure the one to the right always do more frequent as well. But yeah, the point is, the strategy is pretty much that. You just need to wait for the roar, and then you kind of have to fall on the bet of, oh, is he gonna push me or he's not gonna push me? But either way, you basically just cast his kill on it anyway. Now, as for people who don't know how to deal with this guy and having to deal with him like 13 times or 24 times if you play with every character, it can get a little bit annoying, I suppose, but when you start learning the pattern of these guys and learn the cues for their attacks, these guys actually don't become like a big deal at all. And specifically if you also get strong as well, like Sanctum of Destruction, I'm pretty sure you just need like 200k or above to be able to do just fine. Like my zero, as you can see there, was like cleaning off house, and he's like 245k. Currently like my weakest character in my list. It doesn't require that much to kill the 2 dragons specifically. It just kind of needs practice, I suppose, because like I mentioned, it is kind of a think fast situation. Like the best way I can just say is just keep trying, because these things usually we learn when just keep doing the levels over and over again. You eventually start to understand the cues and other stuff. So yeah, don't give up on doing this. It's a little bit of a hassle, but slowly and steady you start to understand more about these cues. Next question is from Reality Check 5595, and that was from my April Fool's joke. New to Grand Chase, what does taint resistance do? So as you can see right here, this little icon right here, this is the taint debuff that you're receiving from these levels. The higher the debuff is, the less damage you do to enemies, the less vitality you have, the more damage you also take from enemies, and you also reduce critical chance, critical damage, and back attack. And how you deal with taint debuff is basically through taint resistance, that they have their many ways to build up the more you play the game. For example, the basic way you can build up taint resistance is through the rune systems. Specifically, this last one right here has specifically a upgrade where right here, for example, that builds up taint resistance. So the best way that you can farm, at least for the start anyway, taint resistance is through the rune system, which you can also do this with cards, by the way, because I forgot to mention, like some cards actually do give you taint resistance. All right, so for the last question here, I'm gonna leave with Vinicius Pato again, a question that they made in my things to do after you reach level 85 video. Let's say I want to buy every single item in the rune GP page as a fresh player. Are there any methods to farm GP that don't involve around Berkas and Phoenix gear? I'm too fresh and I rely on those right now. They're a little bit slower, I would say, but they are alternatives if you don't want to deal with them every once in a while. One of them is Zero's Border. The Zero armor set you can get in this area actually does give a lot of GP if you're able to get like a bunch of them and sell them. I would recommend Zero, but I personally don't have a lot of luck in Zero, so I personally would recommend that if you want to just farm for GP. If you are able to get equipment there, that is pretty nice, but I personally speaking have better experience getting equipment in Zero's Border because there are more enemies in here than the other levels. One version that I actually don't really recommend, but it is kind of a viable way, is Konat's Collapse. The one positive thing about Konat's Collapse is that you're always guaranteed to get one piece of this equipment, and this equipment actually also can sell very well, specifically if you do the missions related to Konat's Collapse, because every time you finish a mission related to this, you do get a specific set off the Ernas's armor set. So that is kind of a crazy approach to this if you guys want to. The title as around this level also kind of makes it worth going for, because it does give 50% more experience. I do know this level is perfect as well to farm for the pet, because you're dealing with 3 versions of Astaroth. The same thing as well for Zero's Border, because you're also dealing with 4 different versions of Dahila, which do have a separate chance of getting the pet. But Konat's Collapse, I would not like 100% say go for this level. Like I said, this one's a little bit slower in compared to the others. If you're really feeling like it, you can also try Siege of Tarokan and Temple of Time. Normally you are already farming for these levels already for the Earring and Piercing, which might result in like situations like this where you have like so many of accessories or maybe equipment like I have right here, and just selling these equipments already like can give you like a quite decent amount of GP as well. So yeah, as you can see right there, 2 million. And then if I have more of these, I can always just drop them back in, or just don't do anything at all with them. And then I can just keep wasting more of them because I just have so many of those. An alternative funny thing you can also sell other than the equipment is this box right here. The equipment select box is also something you can sell. Just one gives you this amount. So if you have multiple of these and you will just like don't have GP, then like Yeah, look at just how much GP I get out of this. That's 62 million, I think. The same also goes for the Iron Dragon chest, which, Jesus Christ, that's such a lot of GP. My personal recommendation, like if you would like to sell these as well, I would personally suggest you to get used to playing these levels every day. If you can do this with like maybe 5-7 characters at least, you can get like a bunch of GP by just selling these items. A little bit draining, I would say, but it's not like anything bad, I would say. Specifically how the Crucible and Sanctum of Destruction are not like any bad levels. Wizard's Labyrinth, I guess it can depends whatever you're doing. So yeah, it's not like anything hard. It just takes a little bit of time. So yeah, overall, I think I'm gonna leave the video here. Overall, I feel like I've responded to some pretty interesting questions, specifically the coordi one, because I've got to be honest, I didn't know this at all myself. Like I mentioned before, if you'd like to see more videos like this where I answer people's questions, or just more Grand Chase in the future, you're more than welcome to leave a like, comment, subscribe, because we do Grand Chase content here on a weekly basis. And if you'd like me to answer any questions as well you have, you're more than welcome to leave them either in the comments or in the post. I'll make sure to leave in the description. That being said, thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day today. Stay awesome, stay safe, have a great farm section today. And remember, if you have this outfit, please, for the love of God, use it. We only have this once a year, and if you have it and you're not using, trust me, you're going to hell by my own hands. How can people deny this? This is peak costume. Anyway, see each other next time. Peace.